When I was younger, like so many other kids, I loved watching TV. My favorite channel was Noggin. Every day after school, I'd rush to the TV, excited to catch a few hours of Moose and Zee D bird before the channel switched over to the N at 6. I didn't care as much for the actual shows. It was Moose and Zee's little skits that made my day. There was even this goodbye song, Done Day, which I'd always sing along with, even though it meant my TV time was up. I was around kindergarten age back then, so my parents were strict about what I could watch. My mom was a nurse and got home a bit after 6 most nights, and my dad, a bricklayer, would usually fall asleep on the couch after his early work days. One particular November day, my dad was dozing on the couch, and my mom was working late. I had this daring idea. I'd sneak down to the basement TV after 6 to see what the N was all about. I wanted to know why my parents thought it was too scary for me. Around 5:45, I turned off the living room TV, tiptoed down the basement steps, and turned on the TV down there. I knew Noggin's channel by heart, 258, so I punched it in and caught the end of Max and Ruby. Then the sign-off song started, and I sang along quietly, my heart racing with excitement. The screen faded to black just as it always did at 6, but instead of switching to the N, the TV stayed dark. I waited. 5 minutes passed, and I was about to give up when I heard this low, humming noise. Suddenly, Moose appeared on the screen, but something was off. The colors were too saturated, and his voice sounded warped, almost like a broken record. He welcomed us to Noggin, even though I knew that was their morning greeting. Then, as the screen glitched and distorted, Moose's eyes went red. The screen went black again, leaving me frozen on the couch, too scared to move. Then it cut to a new scene. There was a little girl sitting on a kitchen floor, wearing a pink dress and cradling a doll dressed identically to her. She looked like she was about 3 years old, with blonde pigtails and big blue eyes. She hummed "Mary Had a Little Lamb" to her doll, rocking it back and forth. I watched, feeling a chill I couldn't explain, until suddenly she stopped and stared straight into the camera. Her pupils started expanding, filling her eyes until they were entirely black. I felt glued to the spot, too horrified to look away. Behind her, a thick black liquid began oozing out from the cabinets, pooling around her feet. She whispered softly, "We all die one day." And then, black screen again. I sat there, heart pounding, barely breathing, when an emergency alert siren blared from the speakers. Red letters appeared across the screen, but I could only make out one word at the bottom: "Help." Then, Moose's face returned, with those same bloodshot eyes staring straight at me. The static noise rose, and a reversed song started to play, growing louder. The cable box began vibrating on the TV stand, and a strange chemical smell filled the room. Just as I was about to scream, the TV shut off with a loud pop, and the basement went silent. I bolted upstairs, not daring to tell my dad what I'd seen, but mentioning that I thought the cable box smelled funny. He sleepily brushed it off, and I ended up sleeping on his floor that night. The next morning, my mom turned on Noggin for me while I ate breakfast, and everything looked perfectly normal. But that afternoon, I avoided the basement TV and tried to distract myself with coloring. When I couldn't find any blank paper, I grabbed the morning newspaper from the kitchen table. That's when I saw it. In the column for missing children was a photo of a little girl sitting on a kitchen floor in a pink gingham dress, holding a doll that looked exactly like her. I felt a chill run down my spine as I recognized her immediately. In the headline, just one word jumped out at me, the same word I'd seen on the TV screen the night before: "Help."